Hey everybody, this is Doug Enders, Director of Teams for Go Wags Baseball. And what I'm doing is putting together a little webinar from our parents' meeting that we held last Friday. We had a great turnout, but I know not everyone was able to make it. Some families had to travel a pretty good distance. So we're putting together this small webinar just so that you can get caught up on some of the things that were discussed. To summarize, we're going to talk basically about two things. One, we're going to look at the growth mindset. What's the research behind it? Why is it so important to Go Wags and the development of our players as athletes and baseball players? And the second part, we'll just talk about what is it that we try to do to set ourselves apart from other organizations and teams when it comes to tournament play and game day. What are things that we can do to model for our kids that we can show how to be a great sport, how to be a great teammate, and we'll talk a little about that in the second part. Before we get started, though, if you could please just make sure that you're a part of our text group for Go Wags Baseball. If you send a text to the number 81010 and the message the @ GW Teams, you'll join a text group. We'll use that text group just to send to you things like our spirit stores when they come up, or just other resources that we can share or discuss as an organization. So if you could join that group, we greatly appreciate it. If at any time you find it annoying or you don't want to be a part of it, just reply with the word stop and you're good to go. You're out of it. So with that being said, I thought it'd be very appropriate to start with a short video clip from Nick Foles. I'm a huge Eagles fan, so anytime I can show videos of Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to do it. Not to mention the fact that it was after a victory where they destroyed the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 52. So I'm going to show that video clip to you and just listen to the language that he uses when he talks about success and failures.
You've had a unique journey here. What would you like people to kind of take from your journey the last few years and kind of be inspired by?
I think the big thing is don't be afraid to fail. In our society today, Instagram, Twitter, it's a highlight reel. It's all the good things. And then when you look at it, you think like, wow, when you have a rough day or your life's not as good as that, like, you're failing. Failure is part of life. That's a part of building character and growing. Like without failure, who would you be? I wouldn't be up here if I hadn't fallen thousands of times, made mistakes. We all are human. We all have weaknesses. And I think throughout this, just being able to share that and be transparent. I know when I listen to people speak and they share their weaknesses, I'm listening because I can resonate. So I'm not perfect. I'm not Superman. Might be in the NFL and we might have just won the Super Bowl, but hey, we still have daily struggles. I still have daily struggles. So, but that's where my faith comes in. That's where my family comes in. And, I think when you look at a struggle in your life, just know that, that's just an opportunity for your character to grow. And that's really just been the message. Simple. Like if something's going on in your life and you're struggling, embrace it because you're growing.
If you heard Nick Foles say, when you have those challenges and you have those obstacles, you have to look at those as opportunities to grow. Embrace it. If you heard in his message, he talked a lot about social media. And unfortunately for our kids with Instagram and YouTube, this is what most of our social media will focus on: success. It's mom and dad putting the video of that kid hitting the home run that everyone sees, all the great times, but we don't see those times where they struck out or that they weren't successful. I think our kids internalize that. So when they have a bad day, when they go 0 for 4 at the plate, they internalize that as, I'm not as good as so-and-so, or he's so much better. I guess baseball is not my sport. I think when you hear Nick Foles, the message that he gives, I think you can be reminded of this pretty common graphic you can find online. It's called the iceberg illusion. This is what everyone sees, but we forget about everything that goes underneath that iceberg. We forget about the failures, the mistake, the sacrifices, the disappointment that, Bryce Harper didn't wake up one day saying, I can hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, or I can see a curveball out of that pitcher's hand. No, it takes time and effort and energy to get to that point. Hard work, if you will. So a lot of our kids forget about this point, and for that reason, they're very easy to give up. I'm never going to hit a curveball. I'm never going to be able to field that backhand, because they're not reminded of the hard work and dedication that goes into developing those skills. Well, that's pretty much a great start for us when you look at the book Mindset from Carol Dweck. Her book starts with this very simple research. Basically, what they did was they took a ton of fifth graders and they divided them into two groups. One group was praised for their intelligence. One group was praised for their effort. So everyone was given a test, and at the end of the test, everyone did fine on the test, but the moderator was directed to tell one group when they were finished, wow, you guys did great. You must be really smart at this. The other group, when they finished, the moderator said to them, you guys did really great. You must have worked hard. Now, what we found is when we gave a second test to these kids, the kids that were praised for their intelligence, when they were told how smart they were, they were quicker to give up on the more difficult tests. In other words, as the questions got hard, they were more likely to check out and try other, or just basically said that they weren't good at it. And so their scores were considerably lower or significantly lower than the other group that was praised for their effort. They stayed on the problems a little bit longer, gave maximum effort, and their scores reflected that. Now, if you're anything like me, when you hear this or you see this, your thoughts are, no way, could really our words have that much impact on kids? And I have to tell you, this research has been replicated over and over again, and they continue to find the same results. And the answer is yes. What we focus on grows. When we tell kids or just praise the outcome, just the letter A or the grade A at the end of the report card, instead of focusing on the process, our kids become possibly a little bit more fragile in the face of adversity, like a more difficult test or course. The example was given to me that if every day, let's say your kindergarten child comes home and they drew a great picture of a bird and you praise that bird. Oh, look at my Picasso. This is a wonderful bird that you drew. It wouldn't be uncommon for that child to come home every day trying to bring you more pictures of birds. Why? Because they don't want to do anything that maybe they don't know how to draw. They want to continue to receive that praise as a Picasso for the efforts that they had. So please know that when you hear that, it's not necessarily that those words or that praise is a bad thing, but this is the foundational research behind mindset. How do we get kids to be, I want to say, less slaves to praise and less focused on just the result and more willing to put in time and effort to grow their talents and abilities? So in mindset, I can tell you that the book summary is pretty simple. Your self-view is important to your success in life. To summarize the book, there's basically the fixed mindset and there's the growth mindset. The fixed mindset says, yep, this is how I've been born. I've been dealt this deck, this hand, and there's not much I can do about it. I'm always going to be small. I don't have an art ability. I can't learn to run fast. I'll never be handy around the house. Fill in the blanks. Kind of basically like, yep, this is how my parents were. This is how my dad was. So I'm going to be the same way. The growth mindset says, yeah, you might have been dealt a certain hand in life, but how you play it is so important. It's like the nature versus nurture debate. It's all about the nurturing process that says, yes, I can grow my abilities. So I may not be very handy, but if I watch enough YouTube videos, I think I can get better at what I do. Yeah, I can't hit the curveball, but if I continue to practice it and dad keeps throwing me curveballs from the mound, I'll start figuring out what this looks like so I can be successful. Now, basically, Carol Dweck tells us that most people are not 100% growth mindset or 100% fixed mindset, but pretty much a combination of the two. But what she would argue is that the people that have more of the growth mindset will ultimately achieve more in their profession or whatever it is that they are attempting to get better at. So that was part one. During part two, I'd like to discuss a little bit more about some of the specific concepts in the book so that we can think about ways that this relates to what we do in the baseball world.